on the Are You Ready for Some Football podcast with your host, Flint Gibbon here. We're going to be talking about the AFC East and the NFC East free agency and the draft coming up very soon. So we're going to start off with free agency, and we're going to talk about the Bills from the AFC East. And they picked up a few players like they re-signed players like Cordy Glenn, Leonard Hankerson, Richie Incognito. Some okay players. Cordy Glenn's a pretty good tackle, and Richie Incognito had maybe his best year of his career, which is saying a lot. He's played a while, and his first year in Buffalo, now they re-signed him. They also got some free agent pickups like Robert Blanton. He came from Minnesota. He's been a pretty good young safety in the league. He was on the other side of Harrison Smith, who's a really good safety. They got Trenton Dre, and he's more of a quality backup tight end, maybe third string. He played with Cleveland last year. And they lost a lot of players, the Bills. They lost like Nigel Bradham, Ron Brooks. Both of those guys went to the Eagles, as well as Leotis McKelvin. He went to the Eagles as well. Craig Urbick, they lost. Mario Williams is another player. He only had like 4 sacks or something last year. He's like 31 or something like that. And I think he's still a pretty good player. He's probably going to hit his 100th sack this year of his NFL career, because he only needs like 3 sacks left. And he's probably going to get that in Miami. And how he left Buffalo wasn't that great. Him in a disagreement with, I guess, the coaching staff of Rex Ryan, just how the system is. He doesn't like being in a 3-4. And I don't know, he should have probably just put up with it for the year and then left, but other than that, he got cut. And other than that, they lost Chris Hogan. He's going to New England, and he's came from Monmouth University out of college, and then hasn't done a lot with the Bills, but he seems like he can be a pretty good player. Now he's with Tom Brady. He should do have his best year of his career this year. And other guys, Percy Harvin, he retired. And Josh Johnson's still a free agent, and he's just a backup quarterback. He's been in the league for around 8 years or so. Hasn't really done much. Started a few games with Tampa Bay. And I don't think he started. I think that might have been the only team he started with. But other than that, he's been a backup. Let's go on to another AFC East team, Miami Dolphins. This year, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to take a step back, even though the offense, I think, is going to take a step forward. Defensively, yeah, they lost Olivia Vernon, who the Giants paid a lot, and they're getting Mario Williams, but they lost a lot of other players. Quentin Coples, who didn't really play much, signed in the middle last year, I believe, from the Jets. He was a former first-round pick. Brett Grimes they lost. Rashard Matthews, another receiver. He was actually not bad with them. Kind of beat out Greg Jennings for the 4th receiver, sometimes even 3rd. But now they only have Kenny Stills, and Devontae Parker should be pretty good going into his 2nd year. He was a first-round pick last year. Lamar Miller, they lost the running back, so they have Jay Ajayi now. That's really it, except they signed Isaiah Peed. And he's really not done much in his career with the Rams. They also got Daniel Thomas again. So he's back in Miami. Other than that, they didn't really get much. They signed back quarterback Matt Moore. No one really they signed big in this free. They don't have much money, and that's going to be a common theme with some of these AFC East teams. And that's really it I could say about Miami. They didn't really upgrade. We will see in the draft if every team upgrades in free agency in the draft, but you always lose amount of players before free agency, and that's pretty much the difference. See if they get better or get worse. So let's go on to the New England Patriots. They re-signed LeGarrette Blount, and that's really the only well-known guy they re-signed back. They did sign a good amount of players. None of them are great, but they should be playing, or they should be at least quality players. They got Donald Brown, might play some running back for them. E.J. Biggers, corner. I don't know if he's not probably gonna start, but he's an okay backup. You got Terrence Knighton. He's a pretty good player. If you know him, he's on the Bridgestone commercials for the tires. He's a pretty good defense tackle. And they got Malcolm Brown, their first round pick from last year, so they should be good in the middle. Got Nate Washington. He's an older receiver. I don't think he's that good, but he might play for them. Chris Hogan's a young guy from Monmouth. He's gone to, I think, his fourth season. Played with Buffalo, so he might actually play for New England. And he's been playing with some, I guess, average quarterbacks in Buffalo, or not so good. So now he's gonna have Tom Brady. He should be having his career year this year. Chris Long they signed. Well, I don't think he's really that good anymore. I think his name's really... He was really good when he was young, and then he has his father name, who's a Hall of Famer, Howie Long. I just think he's an okay player at the moment with all the injuries he's had. Maybe he can come back. He's just been dealing with a lot of injuries the past few years. Shane McClellan, a first-round pick from the Bears they signed. He's underperformed. I won't say he's a bust, but he hasn't been that great. And they also lost Akeem Hicks, Brandon LaFell, and that's the major losses, if I can say. So New England, and they got Martellus Bennett from a trade from the Bears. So, and then lost Chandler Jones. So I think offensively they're better than last year. But with that said, I don't think their defense is as good. I mean, maybe run stuffing there might be better, or on the D line, but it's tough to say with Chandler Jones, getting traded to Arizona, how they will perform defensively. But they're usually pretty good anyway, even though they're kind of underrated. I mean, Bill Belichick's pretty good with their defense. They usually are around the top 10 in defense, and then they have a pretty good offense. So let's go on to the Jets. This team, they still don't have Ryan Fitzpatrick signed, so I think it probably will get done, though, eventually. If they don't get him, they have Geno Smith at the moment, which most people think he's not that good. And I can see why they think that. I think he can be an okay starter, especially with this team. And they just signed. They have Matt Forte now. They signed. Bilal Powell's back. They got some Jason Morrow is coming back, who's injured. They got Brandon Marshall still, Eric Decker. They need a slot receiver. I don't think Devin Smith will play there. They're a rookie from last year, but he might. They got a Newmois who might be better. He was a rookie last year, I believe. But they lost Jeremy Curley. I don't think he was all that good. He wasn't really used. And he actually, I don't know if he was on Twitter or whatever, but he was kind of mad at the Jets, saying they weren't using him right. He went to Detroit, though. Same thing as Stephen Ridley. He left to Detroit. He was a running back. But didn't play much for the Jets last year. That was his only year with the Jets. They lost Chris Ivory, the running back. But Matt Forte should be replacing him. So can't say. I don't know if they went down backwards or forward in the running back. They kind of stayed the same. Demario Davis left. I think that's a kind of big loss in the middle of the defense because he's the middle linebacker for them. They got a lot of players still unsigned, maybe 10 or so. So let's see if they can get them back. They still have Calvin Pace out there. He hasn't been signed either. Jeff Cumberland. Their kicker, Randy Bullock. They have a lot of people still not signed, and they don't got much money. They had about $500,000 in cap space, but they did get some back when Brickishaw Ferguson retired recently. And then they traded for Ryan Clady. So they got some money, but it's still not enough to even pay Fitzpatrick. And the other guys they still haven't signed, like Willie Colon and stuff. Let's move on to another division. Let's go to the NFC East. Let's go to Dallas. For the Cowboys, I don't know what exactly to... I can't say they got better, But they should get better because hopefully Romo for them is playing more most of the games next year, if not all. He only played like 4 games or so. But they re-signed Morris Claiborne, Rolando McClain. That's the big guys they re-signed. Their rivals were Alfred Morris. So I think they upgraded at running back. But other than that, I don't think they did, because I don't think Benson Mayowa, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Mayowa. He came from Oakland. I don't think he's an okay player. He's on the defensive line. He's an okay player. I don't think he might not start with their defense. He might be a guy who situationally comes in. Still a few unsigned guys. Greg Hardy's still unsigned. I don't think he comes back to Dallas, but I don't know if he comes back at all. I don't know how many teams really want him because of his off-the-field stuff. And Robert Turbin is still unsigned, but other than that, I think this is a better football team. Just because, they're getting Romo back and maybe some draft picks. Alfred Morris should help them in the run game. And let's go to the New York Giants. And they re-signed Jason Pierre-Paul. They signed a few guys, Olivier Vernon, Janoris Jenkins. Those are the 2 big guys they signed. Beeson, he's retired. He was a middle linebacker. He had a pretty good career. Just injuries set him back at the end of his career. He was great in Carolina around the late 2000s. But they also lost Prince Amukamara, Ruben Randall. And they have a lot of guys unsigned, like Cullen Jenkins and stuff like that. Hakeem Nicks. And their kicker, Josh Brown, has been pretty good. So Giants, they got better just because they signed so many players. Like Bobby Rainey, they really should be better, especially defensively. I think they were the worst last year. So that's really I can say with the Giants. Their offense, I think, takes a step back because they lost Ruben Randall. Maybe Cruz plays this year, and maybe they draft someone. But at the moment, running back wise, they kind of stayed the same. Receiver wise, they still have Odell Beckham Jr., but that's really it they got receiver wise. Tight end, they're okay with what I guess Will Ty and Donnell might be the guys this year, and they're okay guys. Offensive line, maybe they improve the offensive line through the draft. But I talked about that later when we get to the draft. So they might improve a couple wins. But that division, I don't know who really will win the NFC East. They're all, I think, average teams. And one will get maybe 9 or 10 wins and win the division. That's usually how it plays every year. So the Eagles, they got Nigel Bradham. They signed a lot of Buffalo players. Leotos McKelvin's another Buffalo player. Ronnie McLeod came from the Rams. He's a pretty good safety. And Ruben Randall they signed from the Giants. And Chris Givens they got, another receiver. And Chase Daniels, backup quarterback. He actually maybe beats out Sam Bradford. I don't know. He's looked good when he's played, but he's only played like 2 or so games, if you don't count preseason. He's always looks good. He looks good when he plays, but again, he's getting paid like $7 million a year for backup, which is a pretty good amount. And also, you're paying $18 million for Bradford, so we see. And then Brandon Brooks is a guard. He'd probably be the right guard, but I don't know. Actually, maybe he's the left guard. But Eagles need a guard, and they still haven't filled that. And they lost Thad Lewis, the third-string quarterback at the end of the last year for the Eagles. Not really a big loss. Even E.J. Bigger is not a big loss. Cedric Thornton, he went to Dallas. He was a starter for him. I didn't think he was too good. I feel like they can replace him. And they still have guys unsigned like Seji Ajeratutu. Vinny Curry still unsigned. And Walter Thurman still unsigned. So the Eagles, a lot of people actually think this team might not be that good. I have more optimism than most people, I think. Because Brandon Brooks, that helps them tremendously offensive line because they really had two, at the best, average guards. I think they were both probably mediocre. They were pretty bad blocking, at least interior-wise. Because Jason Kelsey also, he was pretty good 2014. He didn't play well in 2015. And then tackles, maybe Jason Peters. I don't know how he's hard. He doesn't stay healthy much, and then he's good when he's playing, but he just got hurt he gets hurt all the time. So they're probably gonna draft another guard. But this team, I think they could be good. I don't know who their quarterback. It'd probably be Bradford. And the receiver, they upgraded receiver, so they pretty much upgraded anywhere or they stayed the same around. So I think they're a better team. They almost won the division last year. That people don't give them credit. They were 7-9, and the last 2 weeks they can't say they blow it, but the Redskins beat them out. And then the game Bradford were hurt. Sanchez didn't play well, and they lost those games to Tampa Bay and Miami, which he filled in to Detroit. So Washington, they have Will Blackman. They re-signed Kedrick Golston, Colt McCoy, Chris Thompson, Junior Gillette. A lot of guys, they're okay players. Junior Gillette could be a good player. He hasn't really played since 2014. That was for the Saints, so we will see there next year. So Greg Toller, he joins the team from Indianapolis. He's an okay corner. Vernon Davis, and again, Vernon Davis, I don't know. He was good so long for the 49ers, and the past couple seasons he has had drops, he's had injuries. So we see, and he's getting older. He was maybe the fastest tight end in the league, and at his age, I don't know how old he is, probably in the 30s, young 30s. So I think he's lost speed too. So I don't know how well that helps him. They still have Jordan Reed, so he's really a backup tight end now. And they got David Bruton also. They lost Terrence Knight, Alfred Morris, Keenan Robinson, who's a middle linebacker, RG3, or Robert Griffin III. So they lost a lot of pretty good players. So winning the division and now losing all these players, I don't know if they can win the division. Also, they still have their fullback, great fullback, Daryl Young still unsigned, and Deshaun Golston. So, and Jason Hatcher also, which I believe they cut. So the Redskins, I think they're going to take a step back. I don't know if even Kirk Cousins plays as well as last year. He played really well, or really good. So I don't know how. I think they might be a 6-win, 5-win team. But again, all these teams are average, and any of these teams can really win the division. None of them are that dominant. At least I think that. All right, we're going to move on to now the draft. And the Bills, I think what they really need, I don't know about another pass rusher, but they need a defensive lineman, probably another one. Marcel Davis is good. Jerry Hughes probably is playing linebacker. So you have Kyle Williams who's hurt last year. So again, I think they need some, I guess, defensive end they would need. Corner, they're good. And safety, maybe they think about. And offensively, it could add some offensive line depth or maybe receiver depth. But they got running back. I think their quarterback's fine. So, yeah, and then the Dolphins, I feel like they always need offensive linemen. They give up a lot of sacks. And they pick at 13 because they did a trade with the Eagles. It used to be 8. And, again, I forgot to say Buffalo's pick. They're at, 19, I believe. Yeah, 19. But Miami, their top need is really corner. When you lose Brent Grimes, and they got Byron Maxwell now from the trade, but they really need another corner, or if not two, because they don't really got much defensively in the backfield except Rashad Jones. And offense tackle, again, I said offensive line. They also need a guard. Defensive end they might need. But that's more of depth because they have Cameron Wake, but he's coming off an injury, like I said, and Mario Williams, who's an older player too. So let's go to the Jets, who pick at 20. And they need an edge rusher. They blitz a lot, and that's what gets the pressure. But they need some outside linebacker. They've been old there for a while. Even anywhere on the linebacker core, they need. Even though they drafted there recently, it's just they haven't really hit on them. Like Quentin Coppola hasn't been a hit. Calvin Pace is still a free agent, like I said. So, and even David Harris is an older player, but he's pretty good. He's a captain of the defense. So, other than that, they need an offensive line, probably a tackle. At least depth there. The tight end they could look at, and corner they might need to look there. Revis is still a very good corner. But some games this year he got beat pretty badly. In a game I can remember is against the Texans. DeAndre Hopkins just kept beating Revis. He didn't really cover him well. That's not saying anything any bad really against Revis. It's just Hopkins is a much better player, much younger, and much faster. So, and they don't have Cromartie anymore, so they need another outside corner. They got Buster Screen, and he's a good nickel corner, but that's pretty much what they need. And then New England, they might need some offensive line help. The playoff game against Denver kind of showed that. They had injuries there too this year, so they were dealing with some backups, but they literally could not protect Brady this year. They also might need another corner, maybe a running back, but unlikely. And receivers, they don't have any dynamic receiver. If you don't want to count Edelman, if you want to count Edelman, sure, they got maybe one then. And then their tight end, Gronkowski, of course, and Martellus Bennett, tight end. But no receiver on the outside that really anyone is threatened by. Now they lost LaFell, so they only have Chris Hogan, Edelman in the slot, Amendola. Like, they don't got much. And that's pretty much what they need. Let's go to the NFC East now. We will start with, I guess, Dallas. And Dallas, defensively, they need almost anything on defense, any pass rusher, defensive lineman. Could also go quarterback. I don't see it happening, especially in the first round. I think they're going to go with Romo. And I don't see that being a problem. I understand they need a backup because last year pretty much everyone saw that they didn't really have a good backup quarterback. And that's probably the reason why they went 4-12 after going 12-4. So we can let's go on to the Eagles. The Eagles are picking at 8 now because of the trade with Miami. And they could go running back. They could go corner. Maybe receiver. They need maybe another pass rusher other than Connor Barwin. Offensive line, like I said, guard earlier. So they have decent amount of need. I think they're decent at every position pretty much. But they could get better almost everywhere. Fletcher Cox is really the only dominant player on their team. And maybe you can say some of their linemen are pretty good, offensive linemen. But other than that, and they have some decent linebackers, Jordan Hicks, Michael Kendricks, Connor Barwin. Brandon Graham's actually not that bad either. So other than that, they could upgrade in a lot of positions. I think they probably should go. It's tough, but I say probably corner. I mean, running back they could, but I like Ryan Matthews. I think he's a pretty good running back if he can stay healthy, because he had like 1,200 yards or something with San Diego one year. He was a first-round pick too. I think he can still play, and they have Darren Sproles. And even Kenjon Barner, he could play also. So let's go on to the New York Giants. The Giants,
they've upgraded on defense a lot in the offseason, but they still could work there. They need a corner to replace Amukamara. They also offensive line to protect Eli Manning, receiver, but I think the receivers in this draft class are kind of weak. Corey Coleman, Doxson, and Treadwell are pretty much the best. And I don't see many of them going in the top 15. And for the Giants, they probably will have to go later in the draft for a receiver. So pretty much, I would go for them, an offensive lineman. Ronnie Stanley is a good choice if he's there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Giants. Maybe another safety, but they got Landon Collins for last year, who was pretty good against the run, but they don't really have a coverage safety, I would say. So let's go on to the last team of today's podcast, and that is the Washington Redskins. They need some defensive help, especially with all the guys that still are unsigned for their team. Defensive line, have a few, they have a couple holes at defensive line. Outside linebacker, they're good on. That is the one thing on defense they're good on. Corners they really need. I probably would get a corner on their team. That's pretty much what they need. That's their biggest hole, I think. Maybe center, but really a center in the first round is unlikely. There's only really one great center from Alabama, Ryan Kelly. And picking at 21, again, they could take a receiver, but I think Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson, Roberts, they got some other young receivers there that are not bad. So I think they're okay. Running back, they could go, but I think Matt Jones and Thompson are going to be the guys this year. And in the first round, it's probably not where they're going to go. So yeah, next week I will have another podcast. I probably will go over the NFC North and the AFC North. So thanks for tuning in, and bye.